Now Debbie's about.
Are we good?
We'll call personnel to order. First thing to do is accept the minutes from the November 10th meeting. Moved by Darrell, seconded by Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Staffing request, DPW highway workers. Danielle?
This would be a cascade effect. The first one would be a backfill of a supervisor 2 due to a retirement. And then the next one would be backfill of a supervisor 1 due to the same cascade.
So moved.
Second by Jay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Public health.
This was moved from the Health and Human Services Committee. It was a backfill of an account clerk position with a clerk, and also to change the hours from 35 to 40.
So it would be a change in the staffing pattern.
We'd be removing clerk, account clerk, admin clerk, and then changing the hours. from 35 to 40.
So we move it out of here, move it to full
The
board for a staffing change. Does that go into effect now or is January 1st?
It would be based on retirement, which is in January.
Okay, all right. Moved by Sue, seconded by Darrell. Any questions on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Public safety.
This
Two
is a straight backfill of a communication officer due to a retirement.
So moved.
Darrell? Sue? Discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried.
And the next is actually, it was moved from public safety. Tim requested to backfill communication officer positions without requesting our approval, the committee approval.
And there is other departments that have this permission?
The sheriff's department. has
Okay.
that.
So basically what they're saying is they don't want to have to wait until we meet and then a month and the whole 9 yards.
Right,
For this, we're going to treat it special and say, when you have somebody that's leaving, because it's a 24/7 situation, we need to have somebody in there ASAP.
right.
Is it something the personnel committee can do? Or is it got to go further?
Public safety or the approval. So I think we just look at the personnel.
That was my next question. Okay, so Darrell's has all been approved as public safety. Correct. Okay. All right.
And Tim and I will work together on this anyways, you know, he'll let us know.
Moved by Darrell, seconded by Sue. Any discussion? Public safety. Okay, good. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
So I have some late additions,
Late addition.
backfills for DSS.
Okay.
So, and they are cascade effects. So the first one is a case supervisor grade B. This is due to retirement. They would fill that position with a senior caseworker,
Mhm.
which we would need to backfill that position. And then they would fill that position with a caseworker, so we would have to backfill the caseworker position as well.
Okay. So there's no change in the staffing pattern, no additional people. We're just
Right.
backfilling the situation as we need it. Okay. Sue and Darrell? Cascade? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried?
I
Okay.
do have another one, backfill of a senior clerk. This is due to a retirement. One thing with this is that they would be filling it with either a clerk or a typist. Back, I don't know when it was, probably last year sometimes, we changed the title of typist to clerk for civil service. The typist position, as they vacate anywhere in the county, they will be replaced with a clerk.
So that's going to be eliminated eventually.
Yes, typists will be eliminated, they will be all clerks. So depending on how they fill this, the senior clerk position, whether it's with a typist or a clerk, I'd like to fill, if they do a typist, I'd like to fill it with a clerk. So the staffing pattern would end up changing, but I don't know what's going to happen yet.
Okay.
So I'm actually asking if we can change the staffing pattern when that happens.
And currently, it's the retirement of a senior typist.
Yes,
Are they eliminating the senior typist position out of the staffing
It
patterns?
would be senior clerk,
Okay, so eventually there'll be no senior typist or typist.
right,
They're all gonna go to clerk and senior.
right.
So you're looking to transition these staffing pattern changes as we go through this.
I would like to,
Okay, so we're gonna, if we do this, we will eliminate a typist position and add a clerk position.
Right.
No new people,
right.
just a change in title. Okay,
And I don't know if we can do it along the way this way without having to come to committee. And if I just do a straight, okay, this went, can we change the numbers on the staffing pattern without having to go to resolution?
Need a resolution.
If
Do we
we're-
need a resolution?
Yeah, we
Okay.
probably ought to get,
So this may happen again, just to give.
so it's
you
gonna
all
find this
the-
committee to go to the full board.
Right.
And we'll see it multiple times.
Yes, along the way.
Without me looking how many
Seven
typists,
typists,
so it's gonna happen 7 times in the next couple of years.
right.
Okay.
Is that in? Yes. So the staffing patterns for 2023 reflects only.
The current,
No.
no, it has the typists in there. But as they leave, we would pull that title, the number of typists and make them clerks.
What is the special person?
They were appointed as a typist on the civil service list, so that's,
That's a civil service action. to
You're
change
right.
that.
Is it, that's different, yes.
yes,
So,
according to New York State.
so we have to take a different. we'll take a different test.
They won't have,
If
well,
you go from typist to senior clerk, they have to.
that's a promotion, so they have to, yeah.
So we're gonna age it out. Okay.
Then we got to grind through the civil service law to make this whole change over. Okay. Moved by Sue, seconded by Daryl. Further discussion? Knowing that we're gonna see you at least 6 more times
Mhm.
going forward, okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay,
So done with that, we're on to the other items.
we got lots of others today.
So we
Let's
can
start with your
start
others.
with this
You wanna start with yours?
staffing pattern.
Adopt the staffing pattern for 2023, for positions approved in
Yes.
2023 budget.
So you all do have your staffing pattern in front of you that would be adopted in the new year. And also the staffing request for 2023, so we're just asking to adopt the staffing pattern and fill those positions.
So even though we've already passed the budget, we have to approve this, and has to go to the full board resolution to approve everything we've already approved.
Yes.
Okay. Moved by Dave, seconded by Cassie. Any discussions on the 2023 staffing pattern?
Yeah, just a question, from a process thing, would it be better if we did this ahead of the budget? Or would it?
I think it's gotta be funded first, right?
Are we setting the requirement to the budget? So
If we pass this, and then we change the budget, then they wouldn't line up. But now that we passed the budget, we can line everything up.
So we can fund the position before you can
Yeah,
test.
So to Supervisor Wilson's question, we passed the grading schedule after we passed the budget. Seems like this could be the next action after that. As part of the budget package.
true.
Just for efficiency, like that might be.
But as long as we get it all done before January 1st, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Melissa?
The only thing I would add is I don't know that the personnel officer would have all the positions classified at that.
Oh, that early on?
Yeah,
Okay.
because really for her to classify positions that aren't gonna be budgeted is really a waste of time.
Okay.
So I think she kind of waits, with some of them at least to know they're gonna be budgeted before you go forward with everything.
Thank you.
For instance, in a perfect world,
Do.
if we didn't make any changes, we get past it at the same time.
Yes.
That's a goal for next year.
Okay.
Ryan's not here to. Sue, go ahead.
On the social service with the typist, the senior typist and the regular typist, does that reflect what we've just done?
This would be, no. But I'll work with Debbie and with Sue on getting it to
Just
the appropriate numbers. Yes.
so that we don't.
It'll all
confuse-
work out. It'll all work out.
We were so.
Because that'll all happen in January. So, like, this will be changed after based on what we just did.
Okay,
So, yeah.
okay.
it'll be okay.
So this will become a full board another 6 times. 2 years to adopt, to change these.
That's a good idea.
To reflect our
That's a
actual employees.
See that? That makes total sense.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Carried. Okay. Other, keep going.
We have a change to the staff, to the handbook. This is based on the resolution, for raising the mileage reimbursement rate for January. So you'll see the strike throughs and then just the added mileage reimbursed rate of 60 cents per mile. And this is the employee handbook, so we only put in what affected an employee. So the 60 cents if they use their personal.
Gotcha.
Move it.
Moved by Cassie, seconded by Jay. Discussion. All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Okay.
Humana open enrollment is right now until the end of the year. The total premium increased by $8.98 this year. For retirees, yes,
Per month.
yes. And they do have a webinar scheduled for today, December 8th at 2 p.m.
For any retirees.
for any retirees.
All right.
That was just an FYI.
Gotcha. Whoops,
I
sorry.
have a question on Humana. If you turn 65 and you then have to go on Medicare, but you're a current employee, do you go under this Humana or do you stay with the other people under 65?
You would go through Humana as a retiree.
But as an individual, since
If you're still on-
families or
you're still
anything?
Oh,
Still working.
oh, you're still working.
You can only be on Humana if you're retired.
Yeah, if you're retired.
So it doesn't have anything to do with your Medicare?
It'll be years and years and years for you, because you'll be supervisor for the next 20 years in Hartford, so you won't have to worry about
That goes in
it. Unless Jim Griffith moves to Hartford, you never know, right? It could be quite a contentious. Okay. Questions on Humana, for anybody? Okay, thank you.
And this is an FYI also, there's been recent retired county employees for the past few months, and they will be recognized at the board meeting on the 16th.
Okay,
And my last cover is, every year we ask for a blanket approval of equipment purchases based on the amount that's budgeted. This money is not taxpayer dollars, but it's a part of the health insurance premium, so we do buy purchase items for the employees as an incentive-based program, so I'm asking for a blanket approval to make those purchases
same as you do every year.
every year.
Moved by Daryl, seconded by Dave.
And also
How much?
10,000,
Up to
That's
up to
more
10,000.
employees than we have.
10,000 is budgeted.
And just so we know, CLIP is the acronym for,
The county lifestyle improvement program.
Lifestyle, can I get some money?
start by taking that off.
You
That'll improve our
could
lifestyle.
win prizes.
That's a competitive category, so good luck.
Also, I just wanted to request, if we do purchase items with the county logo, that we're able to do that.
Right, you just, well, permission to do that.
Right.
Okay. Sue's moving it. Dave second it. All in favor? Opposed, carried. Okay,
That's all the others that I have.
Daryl has another.
I have another, it kind of dovetails into the conversation with back bills and. So my question is, once we've approved the budget, and once we've approved the staffing plan, aside from a change, if this would change the staffing plan, which we talked about with typists, coming back to committee, going back and forth, is there a particular reason why we request our department heads to come before committee and then go through the personnel committee for a routine, and I'll call it routine because that's a routine personal action, to backfill a position that becomes vacant due to XYZ being
I always did it so we were informed, so we knew what was going on, because if we suspended that, we would have no idea how the change in staffing is in any of the departments. Here, we get information from Tim saying, I gotta backfill these 4 positions because I'm losing everybody. Okay, what do we gotta do as a board to say, how can we help him to fill these positions? It's just to keep us informed and know what's going on and see any changes that are coming back and forth. That's all. Sue?
I agree. I mean, sometimes by not having positions filled, all of a sudden service is interrupted. And we don't want that to happen. And I think it's just a coming again.
Dave?
But I understand what you're saying.
So I understand what you're saying. This is a maturation. We've been through several processes. We're going to get to a more streamlined process to do today. It used to be, we couldn't even start advertising until you came to the committee. This went to your committee, then went to the staffing committee. We streamlined it, and the reason we did it was because we wanted to make sure that when it came out, the department heads were evaluating to make sure that's what they needed. There wasn't any changes needed. And right now, if you look at our position, they can start advertising now before they come to the committee, so we streamlined it. And it really doesn't take much more time.
And they are very proactive now that they know our timer is coming up, that they get the process started. Melissa?
Would there be any interest in the department heads bringing the information about vacancies or about people leaving to their oversight committee? And just mentioning that, oh, if I'm public safety and I have 3 vacancies, just mentioning it at that point and then knowing that they'll be working with the personnel officer to fill those positions? Or do you want there to be approval at personnel for every vacancy? Backfill, and this is just straight backfills.
Yeah, we're not
Town
talking,
clerk with the
there's a
counselor.
staffing change, pattern change, like this document changes. That would not, yes, you gotta come to the committee and do all that work. I'm just talking about, we budgeted for it, we authorized the requirement for the position. A change of life event occurs for name your individual, and the department needs to fill that position as quickly as possible. Certainly we can, I do like the information, but I'm not so sure we have to create a gateway for approval to backfill something we've already approved. That's,
Well, it goes through Danielle doing it this way, so she can evaluate to say, if you're gonna change that position and that person's leaving, you should be looking at an account clerk instead of a clerk, or a senior account clerk instead of a regular
and
clerk.
not talking about taking away any of that interaction between our director of personnel and the other departments to do that. That's certainly
But then she would bring it here to inform us.
just
I could do
information.
that. I could do that just with what we have, like just do, okay, backfills for the past month are this, just so you guys would know what's happening.
Dave?
The straight
Well,
ones.
we bypassed going to oversight committees because we felt that all the oversight committee chairs that people would sit on the personnel committee. So if there was a change needed, we were closer to the board meeting or finance, maybe adjustment in salary or anything else like that. So we just put them through here. I really don't think it causes any harm for us to know what's going on, to say, have you thought about other things? We think there's there. I don't think it really slows it down that much. I think it just keeps the board and personnel committee involved in what's going on, what the changes are, what the turnover is. So I think it's important to keep it the way it is.
Jesse?
I think I asked about this last year. And because I was looking to streamline stuff, and I think if I was told at the time, I believe that we brought the backfills into personnel, we brought them back to personnel and out of committee because it was during COVID and we were struggling for money and wanted to make sure we were double, triple checking everything before it was backfilled. But if it's a backfill and the department needs it, it seems to me like going through the committee would be sufficient for a straight backfill. They have to contact personnel anyway. If they're running for a new position, then it still would have to go to committee and be moved to here, and they still are working with Danielle, like every step, no matter what they're doing, they're working with Danielle. But I agree with Daryl. Last year I said that. I thought that the straight backfills with no changes could be handled through the committee. And then this would be for, serious personnel things, like changes in staffing pattern, changes in titles, stuff like that. We talked about it last year.
Are we going any slower by doing it this way? Because aren't they proactive now to know that a time is coming up or people are leaving, that they get it in the system? So we're not really slowing it down, or?
They are usually proactive about it. And like yesterday, I received some because they knew it was today and I was able to sneak them in. But again, like, I guess in that case, if they didn't get it in, they would have to wait till next month. So that would be a delay.
Brian?
Well, I think we have to understand the environment has changed in hiring. I think that's where the big deal is. So before, going back to when I started with Bob, a lot of these things were put in place to slow things down to save money. Honestly, we even had at one time, you had like a 3 month or 6 month waiting period to prove that you needed the person because we were so tight on money. Now it's the opposite. The lack of being able to hire is saving us money because you can't change a person in and out because they're not, most of them aren't retiring. They're just taking another job. And so it's changed it to where if the person's already got 3 vacancies, now they got a 4th one and they still have to wait to get somebody in. It's a problem. I guess so it's just the total change in the environment. Whether this would help or not, I mean, if Daniel thinks it would help, I don't have a problem with it because you're saving the money now just because you can't get the people in the chairs to do the work. That's
Daryl?
Well, I wasn't advocating to change the requirement for approval at committee and full board for the staffing pattern.
right.
That's a steadfast thing. So if our personnel director comes in and says, I've got a concern and we need to do X, Y, Z, or I recommend we do X, Y, Z, then we need to hear that in committee. But for somebody to just a normal routine hiring action, that, sometimes the speed in which that moves is critical. People move on to jobs like this, and then the department doesn't have that workforce that they need to serve the public, and they're weighing on other individuals who are in the office doing the work. It seems to me that requiring the committee to approve and then the personnel committee to approve are steps that are in addition to what they've already gone through, said, hey, here's my requirement for the year. I've demonstrated the workload metrics required behind this requirement. And we've got it budgeted, it's approved. What's I'm trying to figure out the purpose of having the director come back to committee just to say, hey, I know you've approved this. It's unfortunate I lost this person because they decided to go work for Walmart and I need to backfill. And literally they could backfill it that day if they wanted to. They're going to act on it right away. If there's a question about the staffing pattern and our director of personnel sees other trending issues, I'm not saying not informed. You can certainly inform the committee, hey, I've had these 3 vacancies come open, I'm backfilling them, and we have a staffing problem. Not the fact that we screwed up our staffing pattern, is we have a retention and recruitment problem. Now, that's different than saying, I need this person with this skill set to do this job. So just open it up.
It's interesting when you start thinking about it. When does the point where they can go out and start hiring? Is it after all these approvals, or can they start from day one when they need it?
We start advertising prior to.
And so-
If it's going to take a little bit, we do postings
But-
and they
and
start
you can-
advertising. They can even start interviewing.
Yeah. And
They
can
just
hire?
they can't hire until the approval.
So you really are putting binders on them. Regarding, okay, yes, this person's great, but I gotta wait 45 days.
No.
Well,
Well,
it's usually a
no.
month, it's usually the month, but
Yeah,
again,
'cause
they,
if it
Well,
happens
then
tomorrow,
again,
it's gonna be
Well, you
a-
had
they
some
give
coming
a
yesterday.
2-week notice. Yeah, they give a 2-week notice usually, so it's like
Well, don't you,
very,
Hang on, I could have Sam first.
No, I just think I'm a little confused because being informed is one thing and approval is something else. So we've already been informed once and that was with your request for the budget. We've already approved it if it's in the budget, so we've approved it there twice. If all we were looking for is to be informed, if that's what we would do, when they come to their meeting, we say, oh, by the way, we appointed this one, this one, and this one. We hired these people, and we still got 2 vacancies, or whatever the case may be. I don't see why that has to be held up for an approval. That doesn't make any sense.
Or I can continue receiving backfill requests and then just break it down in personnel committee of what's been backfilled,
Melissa?
straight backfills to.
I guess if the committee is looking for there still to be approval to backfill, it doesn't matter whether it's here or it's in the actual committee that oversees the department. The way I understood it was, do we actually need permission or approval to do the backfill? If it's the exact same title. If you have a clerk leave and you want to fill it with
Right,
another.
the department head
does
just
it
fills
have
it,
to?
you move on.
Right,
Right.
that's what I said.
So-
I don't think.
So what we just did for Tim, you're gonna do for every department, basically.
For straight backfills.
Yeah, 'cause I think they've been reviewing their own departments. They come in when they want to make changes. So they're already doing that. I don't think we need to muddy the water and micromanage it on top of for a straight backfill.
Dan?
At one point, a long time ago, we had like a moratorium on no hiring of backfills. And that was a while ago. Things are different now. I think Darrell's absolutely correct. But if things change again,
We go back.
this committee can make another, it could change it back again. I don't think we have to be married for one idea forever.
We would save 12 pieces of paper per person if
Dana?
we didn't do
Agree,
that.
Dana?
I mean, serious.
So just,
Plus the staffing hours.
the problem is that you can't fulfill the meeting. You gotta do the canvassing process, interviewing process, so sometimes that can take how long? A month to hire a person to backfill, that's your immediate backfill. Civil services putting that, Danielle said civil services putting on.
There's already checks and balances in the system. Once we approve this staffing pattern, and we give it a dollar value behind it,
Do you still want to have them come to their oversight committee?
they can inform of the personnel actions that
Oversight
Taken.
committee.
they're
Yeah.
taking, with backfilling 3 positions, that would alert me to systemic recruiting and retention problems that we may be faced with. And something we need to make an adjustment on. If things do change, as Dana suggested, and we get into a tight, fit with dollars, through the budget process, we're like, hey, we need to put our brakes on.
So at your committee, under public safety, the department head would come and say, I've talked to Danielle, because I have a position opening, I'm gonna backfill it, and then he informs your committee.
Right.
And then today, Danielle would bring the compilation of all those committees' backfills and inform us for them.
As opposed to us.
Because the backfill's been already process started prior to either one of those meetings.
I thought it was different. I thought.
That's why I'm trying to clear it
I
up.
thought the department head was just gonna fill it and inform Darrell. I filled it.
Right.
I thought that's how it was gonna go.
Yeah, no.
You gotta wait to come to committee.
After talking,
Right, they're gonna talk to Danielle and they're gonna let Darrell know, hey, your committee, I backfilled this and,
strictly straight backfill.
yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
And I think the bigger thing is gonna be if you find out they backfilled the same position 3 times in 30 days. That's gonna be what's.
Bob?
Well, that's why I'm wondering if maybe the reporting ought to be at this committee instead of at the oversight committee.
Well, I think
Because
she said she-
this would be a forum to notice that pattern you're talking about.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why not both? What's the problem having more information?
Well, you could, but it just,
Some of us don't go to all the committee meetings.
I know, well, that's a problem. Some of us do.
You have to. You can pay to.
When I didn't have to, I did.
Sue, did you have one more?
Now, one more question. The other flip side of this is that, how many vacancies are in each department? Because they can't find the workforce, they can't, retention is tough. So, in each department, they're even set it up so that we know what they need. But if they have 5 positions that haven't been filled, then we have a problem, and that's where we're at right now.
Brian doesn't have a problem.
No.
Brian's okay with that.
I know.
I know.
I don't
Well, our
think that should be
constituents have a
approved.
problem.
Our constituents is what the
We're not
problem.
giving them the service perhaps that we should be giving.
Right.
I don't think us approving backfill is gonna tell us that they have vacancies. That's up to them to tell us that we gave them the power that just because they can't get the people. And I mean, some of them do tell us that they don't have any and they have extended things.
Dave?
It's on them.
So we just started, it's a good idea if we want to streamline it, is not to force them to go to their committee plus the personnel committee, especially if there's going to be change that has to go to the full board. So why wouldn't you just come to personnel committee with any changes, have to go to full board, just streamline a little bit?
Well, basically, the way I understand it, it's gonna go department head Danielle to the committee chair. And it's gonna happen. Then you should report out
It's not
the
standing.
information. Oh, it's never been changed.
That's gotta come, that's gotta come,
That's gotta
that should come
come
here and go to full. board.
Yeah.
That'd be the same way.
That's
Huh?
strategic.
But I still think systematic problems like Sue's talking about will not be noticed at the individual oversight committees.
Right.
You're gonna say, oh yeah, they filled another one. I think that coming in here and having somebody report, yes, we've had, 19 backfills in TSS, you might pick up on. I think this committee needs a sort of a global oversight.
Where I
Sort of
can
global look at things.
Okay, so we have a department head who needs a backfill. Their process should be, they go to Danielle and say, Danielle, I need a backfill. Danielle says, okay, we'll work on that. They then report out to the Public Safety Committee. I'm working with Danielle on a backfill. Okay,
XYZ.
XYZ. Then at the Personnel Committee, Danielle brings the total of all the departments. There are 3 backfills here, 2 backfills here, 1 backfill here. Here's what's going on, folks. Because that may just prompt some questions, which then we get informed what's going on. Does that seem like a reasonable process?
Yes.
Okay, does anybody have a problem? Do you have a problem?
I don't have
Does the administrator have any problem? Okay. I have to make a motion to pass it, or can we just, as a group, say this is a good idea?
Truthfully, I would make a motion to pass it because.
Put it in stone.
Okay, so Daryl's gonna make the
It'll be in
motion.
the minutes.
I'll second it.
Cassie will second. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Okay.
And
That's
we'll have
thank
to
you.
contact her.
Yeah, and so for trending and other things, if we have to do something different, recruiting, whatever, to get people in, that's when we may have to make adjustments, something close as well, not just for people.
Any others? Yes, Dana.
I was asked last night by the chair of the board of commissioners to request that the personnel committee consider, oh, I want to say this, pulling the test on the executive director position at the sewer district while they exhaust all options available to them to try to reclassify the position to make it exempt. Did I say that correctly? I got my answer, I think, earlier, but I need to officially ask on behalf of them. They asked me to ask. So if you could maybe shed some light on why we can't do that.
We provisionally appointed the current sewer director a
Competitive.
year and a half ago?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
knowing that as provisional appointment, it's a competitive position, a test was needed. You ordered the test.
Yes.
The test has been delivered.
The test
The
is
test's been
supposed to-
scheduled, and that's coming up relatively soon.
The final file is December 23rd.
Okay, and that the person in question needs to take and pass that test and be reachable in order for them to be, Permanently.
appointed.
which is the same position the previous employee had, competitive test, civil service, that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Now that the test's been ordered and scheduled, whose discretion is it to do anything with it?
It would be up, well, I would have to recommend it to not be competitive, but
Or you
I
no,
really.
the first question
I
is,
really
can you
can't.
pull the test?
I can't pull the test.
Okay, civil service law says you can't pull the test.
Right.
Okay.
That's the answer.
Then who would be the person to exhaust all opportunities to change it from competitive to exempt?
That would be me going through the state.
So you would have to petition the state, which has a board, maybe,
They have
or
a
a group, commission, that would then look at that, whether that change would be made.
Right.
It would be their decision,
It would be their decision.
and that could take,
But again, as explained to Dana earlier, we do submit our job description to the testing services division of the state. They provide a scope to us based on our job description. So if they saw that it wasn't practicable, so if it wasn't testable, they would reach out to us and say, this may not be testable, so we can make it either, you can classify it differently. But since they sent us the scope for the exam, it is a competitive position,
and so from your position as personnel director, you would recommend it be a,
competitive position.
and as the former personnel director, you concur?
Yes, it's already been classified as competitive.
Okay, so there are really no options for us, for Washington County to do anything about this.
And under competitive class two, they do get section 75 rights, which they're not an at-will employee at that point. So they do have, civil service rights.
Protection.
Yes.
I think Dana Hogan was first.
No, Dan.
And
Because it's a competitive position, you can't really say that once that person takes the exam, you will hire that exam because it's competitive.
Right.
They have to be reachable in the top 3 to be
So-
certified.
Say, for example, the person that is in that temporary position now or is number 4, you can't hire that person.
there are ways to get there, but
We do canvas at that point. We canvas the whole list. And if if there isn't a response from the top 3, like if there's out of 4, if the number 1 doesn't respond, then at that point, number 4 is reachable.
and this is a very specific position with very specific minimum requirements. There's not gonna be a whole lot of people that even are qualified to take the test, correct? So there's not gonna be a list of 10 people after
I
the
would
civil service
say-
exam.
Or that live in the county.
We've had recruitment difficulty in that department for quite a while. People just aren't looking for that type of work.
And personally, if he's that good, he should have no problem taking the test, passing the test, and being reachable.
Completely agree. Can I just add though, if you look at the minimum qualifications for that job, the second option, you would have a associate's degree in building trades and work as an operational employee for a sewer district for 3 years and be qualified to take that exam. To me, I don't think that's appropriate. Because of the sewer licensing that you have to have, the engineering background. To me, that seems like a real minimum qualification if you want my honest opinion.
That's probably, it was probably opened up because there were very few people who would have qualified. So they want to get a bigger pool.
That's what the commissioners were concerned because the job duties have changed.
Yes, they have.
So when that title was that, and Jason is qualified and doing a great job, so we're just concerned that, we don't want to lose him. He saved us a lot of money. He's helped other towns that are not even in our, being a good neighbor, has helped out other towns too. So-
As we've had this discussion in the past, and there are considerations and almost restrictions you have, since this is a county employee in a county program. If the sewer district would like to break off and be on their own and be free from all these restrictions, I don't think most of us would have a problem with that. But you live under our umbrella. These are the civil service laws in New York State. You gotta
Well,
live with them.
they're gonna have the same civil service
Right.
laws, it's just according to whether they could have a point that maybe it does need to be looked at again, but now that you're in the operation, you gotta go through the test. You can't really change in midstream, I guess is where you're at.
Yeah, because the
We're way
minimum
down the street.
qualifications would have been looked at when we posted
Right.
the position back when Jason was interviewing. And we probably had them a little more general to get some
To
applicants
get
to apply
people
for the
even
job.
blind, yeah.
Right, so you can't hire somebody and then now change the minimum qualifications to minimize the number of people that take the exam.
Are we afraid 10 people?
Now
would
it's
do it?
customized.
No, there was-
Are we afraid he's not gonna take
Sure, the
pass the
commissioners
test?
reached out to Dan and I.
Yeah.
We didn't know the answer, that's why we asked.
No, but are we
I had
afraid
my
there's gonna be a lot of
predecessor
people?
trying to do that.
Probably
I
not.
didn't have one.
And he isn't going to test.
If-
No, I
We've
don't
done
think so.
this for a year and a half, and now at the last minute, oh, by the way, can you pull it? No.
He was qualified. And I wasn't in the interview process. The other one. Not really qualified, had met the qualifications, but he didn't have the experience, whatever. We got our answer, we'll go back to the commissioners and tell them.
Thank you.
That's good.
Are there other sewer districts in the state that do what the commissioners are requesting, or is this be a complete one-off?
Well, anybody in that position in New York State would be competitive and take the test. It's uniform throughout the whole state. This would be a one-off if we ever, of course, it's not Danielle's choice. Anyway,
This is-
even if she recommended it, the state's gonna say, yeah.
So they're not, the commissioners aren't saying, why don't we do like that county?
But next time we go out to hire, you might want to get the qualifications changed before you look at the title. That's how that works.
Well, according to Tim, they're never gonna let Jason go.
Yeah,
The commissions they're concerned they've got somebody that's doing a great job. They don't want to lose.
Shouldn't have any problem passing the test of being reachable.
You just
And
ask.
and again, they can reach out to me. I will work with them
Okay.
too, and any questions that they have, they feel free, I'll answer all the questions.
I just want to make it clear, I think from the county perspective, we also find Jason as an asset. There's many departments that have enjoyed working with him and see what he brings to the table. So we don't want to see it, where he doesn't pass the test or isn't able to be appointed either, so.
And even in our department, for every provisional appointment that we have, we work the best to make that person appointed because they are the good person for the position.
No,
I think he was agreeing, agreeing.
I was one of the departments that benefited by a qualified gentleman in that position.
Yeah.
Anything else to come before the personnel? We are adjourned, Brian. Yep.
I'm gonna leave the room and just, I'm gonna stop.
Sheriff is
That chair's right for you, Larry.
Okay, we're gonna call finance to order. I need to accept the minutes of November 10th meeting. Moved by Daryl, second in the minutes. Okay, Skelly, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Yes, approved. Okay, very first thing we're gonna do executive session because Larry's here to talk about contracts and.
Collective negotiations on the tail end.
Okay. Motion by Daryl, second by James. Any discussion on executive session? All in favor, say aye.